So this one's been on my radar for quite some time now, but I never seemed to get around to it. But I'm happy I finally did, because it did look interesting and had a great cast too. In fact, I would say the cast was probably the biggest draw for me here, because out of the 4 main characters, 3 are played by actors I like quite a bit. And those are Alison Brie, Dan Stevens and Jeremy Allen White, who you might know from the TV show Shameless. But of course, good actors don't necessarily make for a good movie. However, as I said, this one did look interesting, but as I tend not to watch trailers, I wasn't really sure what to expect from this. Because the description on IMDb is also super vague, but that's not necessarily a bad thing either. But it did mean I didn't have much to go on beyond a trippy looking poster. So I went in with an open mind, but wouldn't have been surprised if things got weird. However, it turns out this isn't really that kind of movie, it's actually fairly grounded. In fact, while the tags include drama, horror and mystery, I would call this, the majority of this, a suspenseful drama. Because the story here follows 2 couples who rent a gorgeous house by the ocean for the weekend. And while there's gonna be some other stuff happening later on as well, most of the movie actually focuses on these 2 couples and their relationships. In many ways, this is actually a relationship drama, and that's where a lot of the tension comes from. Now, there is also some other stuff going on in the background, but it pretty much stays in the background for the majority of the film. And it's really the main characters and their relationships and dynamics that are in the forefront here, and that's gonna keep you engaged. Or it's not, because if you don't find that interesting, I don't think you'll find the movie very engaging either. So a lot hinges on that, but fortunately I did find it captivating enough not to lose my attention. I think that part worked well enough. I wouldn't call it phenomenal, but it worked well. And for all you horror fans out there, this does indeed have some horror elements too. In fact, once it goes for the horror stuff, it pretty much turns into a straightforward and traditional horror movie. And I gotta say, I wasn't really expecting that. It wasn't the way I thought it would go. I mean, I'm not sure what I thought it would do or where it would end up going. But the way it went wasn't it, and I did feel a tad bit disappointed actually. I was hoping it would go for something slightly more clever and creative maybe. So while I do think that part was in essence effective, I think it worked on its own and was well handled. I don't know how well it gelled with the rest of the story and the more human drama. The jump from one type of a movie to another did feel a bit jarring, and I didn't necessarily love that transition. However, in contrast, the way the movie actually chose to wrap up I liked a lot. I can't recall seeing a horror movie do an ending quite like that before. And I appreciated that, it felt unique and it also ended the movie on a high note for me. So I kind of feel like it actually elevated that horror portion of the movie for me. But as a whole, I feel a little bit torn, I'm a bit conflicted, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this one. But I do think it was a solid movie, I definitely wasn't bored by it, and I really liked a number of things about it. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a high 6. Boop. However, would I recommend it? I mean, I wouldn't not recommend it. It's a decent movie, and if it sounds interesting, you should probably check it out. Or you could just skip it too, after all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel, because that would be fantastic.